Well, here we go. It was a really tough weekend for Philadelphia sports. I'm going to try to put this all into perspective. The Phillies really let us down as fans. I don't understand it. I'm going to be talking about the season and then the playoffs. I'm going to be talking about the five-game series against the Cardinals, which they lost 3-2 at Citizens Bank Ballpark, Game 5. Cardinals move on to the NLCS to face Milwaukee. Um, Great season, 102 win season. They seemed to coast for most of the year. At the end of the year, they went on a 8 game losing streak, and it almost seems like they never recovered. But there was like a sinking feeling all season long about the offense because it doesn't feel a whole lot different from last year's offense where they completely got shut down um, in the series against San Francisco. And you can understand it because San Francisco's pitching is very good. Cardinals have good pitching as well, but I'd say it's a step below San Francisco's. But all signs were pointing to they were beyond that. They were past that. They played the last series of the year against the Braves, swept them when the Braves needed those games, and essentially the Phillies swept the Cardinals into the playoffs. Um, and they were, Tony La Russa praised them for doing the right thing and getting in the game. Anyway, um, like I said, the whole thing was like surreal. Can't believe it's over. Um, you know, I wonder why I made this channel, and now I see why. Because it's hard not to be cynical when you improve your team every year, as the Phillies did since they won the World Series, knowing they had holes, and they've almost doubled the payroll in 3 to 4 years, and they've gotten worse every year in terms of where they've got knocked out. They win the World Series in '08 against Tampa. The next year they follow up. They lose the World Series against the Yankees, which was tough to take, but you respected that. You played really hard. It's hard to repeat. The Yankees were probably the better team. That was with Cliff Lee. Last year they had Halladay and Oswalt, along with Hamels, who was actually back into form a little bit as he was off in '09. He was really off. Um, and they they seemed like they were going to make a run. They made it to the NLCS and they lost to the Giants. Like I said, Howard struck out. Um, this year they lose in the first round, and they had Halladay, Lee, Hamels, Oswald, a surprising Vance Worley. I don't know if he's 13-2 or 13-1 or something. A couple rookies that really surprised them: Bastardo, Stutz, um, and then of course they acquired Hunter Pence at the trade deadline. So you thought they were in really good shape. Um, just most people in baseball thought so. And they played the Cardinals, and that was it. They looked defeated. They looked tight the whole series. Maybe the mounting expectations and the pressure was actually getting them. I don't know. Let me go over the games real quick. Game one, they won 11-6. This is where you said, okay, great. The offense is doing well. They're going to have a really solid postseason. It set the tone supposedly. Halliday gave up 3 runs in the first. You're a little concerned, but then when they started to score and score and score, you said, okay, this is fine. It was just a great feeling after the offensive explosion. Game two, they take a 4-0 lead, and Lee's on the mound. And even if he's not sharp, like his sharpest, you're like, okay, Cliff Lee is not going to give up 4 runs. So you're thinking you're going to be up, 2-0 going to St. Louis. No, that's not what happened. They lost the game 5-4. Um, it was it was a really tough pill to swallow. An argument can be made that's where the series started to go downhill, and that's when you knew they might be in some trouble. Game three, um, Hamels really gutted it out, but honestly, if it wasn't for Ben Francisco 3-run home run, I think they may have had 2 or 3 other hits in that game. They were horrible. And, give Matson a lot of credit. To me, this is where he stepped up as one of the game's best closers today. And he just shut it down, against a very good offense. And so the Phillies are up at this point, 2 games to 1, 1 game to close it out. All the pressure's on St. Louis. Um, and LaRussa making his moves, trying to be the genius that he is. Just ask him; he'll tell you. Game 4, the Phillies lost 5-3. Oswalt wasn't pitching great, but then he had to give up a 3-run home run to Freeze, which I give him credit. He crushed the ball, and they ended up winning. And Game 5, Citizens Bank Park, Halladay against Carpenter. Uh, Two great pitchers. You figure Halladay, okay, he's going to be sharp. He got to the ballpark at 4 a.m. It's his routine, his ritual. Um, and as long as he doesn't give up any early runs, we're fine. If we get a lead, we're great. He gives up a triple to start the game. Um, and Victorino had a horrible relay throw in. There's no way that runner should have been on third base. No way for Carlos should have been on third. There's just no way. And a double follows, and then Doc gets out of it. You're like, okay, 1-0. But the whole collective consciousness of the ballpark, you can almost feel. I mean, I could feel the energy from Florida that, just don't let this one run stand up. Do not let this one run stand up, please. Let's get a couple runs here. We'll score. We'll be great. Um, yeah, it didn't happen. Um, you know, 2 runs is not a lot to ask in the postseason with a lineup that's making like $80 million. 2 runs. That's all you needed. 1 run to tie it. Give Ibanez and Utley credit. They hit a couple balls to the wall, um, but they were a few feet short. Balls that would have been out on a summer night didn't go out. They were flyouts. And the bottom line is, it's a game of chance. It's a game of inches. You need luck no matter how good you are. And it just was not their year. Um, um, Halladay would love to have the first hitter back, but you cannot blame him. Him, Lee, all the pitching, the whole year kept the Phillies in every game. They were dominant. It's unfortunate what happened to Lee. It's unfortunate how they gave up a run early, but that run should not have stood. It just shouldn't have. The crowd was great. Um, they were into the game. Um, you know, it was the key to the game was probably either game 2 or game 4. That was the key. Um, Freeze hit the big home run, and right before he hit it, if you remember, Howard almost made a great play in foul territory to retire Freeze, and it didn't happen. He made a great effort at it. I won't say he made a great effort his last 15 at bats because he was 0 for 15 with a myriad of strikeouts. He was horrible. At least he swung, as opposed to last year where Wilson struck him out and he turned his back to everybody. He was so embarrassed. This time, unfortunately, I wish he would have struck out because he ended up tearing his Achilles, which he's had problems with, and he'll probably be out for 6 to 9 months. So it'll be mid-season All-Star break at the earliest that he'll be back. Um, the biggest problem is, in my opinion, I think they psyched themselves out. I really do. Um, they didn't have it. Um, it just didn't happen. And the longer the game went on, and I was talking to some people during the game, and I said, look, if Halladay does not, or I'm sorry, if the Phillies do not score by the 6th inning, they're going to start to press big time. You could feel the crowd. All everyone was thinking was, don't let this run stand up. And of course, it did. Howard 0 for 4 in the game. I think he hit like a $122 in the series. Polanco, did this guy forget how to hit or what? I mean, he's a contact hitter. He was an automatic out. Charlie Manuel, love the guy to death. He's a great guy. But for him not to change that lineup in 5 games, just to mix it up, I don't care if you get false hope. I don't care if you lead off with Ruiz. Do something. For him not to do that was a disaster, period. Of course, with the exception of playing Mayberry against the left-hander in for Ibanez. I mean, the Phillies were a Ben Francisco 3-run home run away from looking really, really bad. I mean, they looked bad enough. Um, I just, you know, then the seventh through ninth inning, you're looking at game five, and okay, you're like, they can score one run. They can find a way to score one run. If not, then how are they ever going to, get to the World Series? It's just you need to score runs in this game. Nobody ever won the game 0-0. Um, you have to score a run. Um, the Giants last year, Cardinals this year. Carpenter, I told some people Carpenter looked like Cy Young. They said, yeah, he does look like he could have won the Cy Young award. No, he looked like Cy Young. The pitcher with 500 plus wins, the guy that the award is named after. Yeah, him. Um, two friggin' runs on an almost $200 million payroll. You gotta get it done. Um, you got to look back to certain games in the off or certain moves in the offseason that were not made, that could have been made. The last 2 years, they had a chance to sign Adrian Beltre. Um, he's averaged 26 home runs for his career every year. He's not horrible at third base. He's a solid hitter. Um, the last 2 years, he's been available, and now he's on. I believe he's on Texas, and he only hit 3 home runs the other day in one game. So, yeah, I think that would have been an upgrade, considering Polanco was making 6 or 7 million, and Beltre made I think 8 million last year or something. But anyway, very disappointing. I'm gonna be doing a video on the playoffs, um, also the Phillies, what they need to do in the future, and a video on what they did not do and the moves they did make. I mean, they signed Ryan Howard a whole 2 years early. Why did they do that? I have no idea. His contract would have been expiring right now as he tore his Achilles. They could have went after Prince Fielder. They could have went after um, Pujols. Now, I love Ryan Howard. He's a great player, but he comes up small in the big moments. And I think he's feeling the pressure of the contract that he has 5 more seasons under with a 6 year option. 5 more. This was year number 1 in that contract. That is ridiculous. Because if you wanted to re-sign him, you could have re-signed him after this year right now. Nobody's going to just throw 25 million at him, especially after the way he's paid. But that's exactly what he's going to make, whether he plays next year or not. And no matter how good he is for the rest of those 5 years, he's going to be making $25 million a year. Money well spent, Ruben. You've done a great job in many areas, but that was a bonehead move. If you wanted to reward the guy when he had 2 years left in his contract, you could have given him another $5 million each year, 5 more in 2010 and 5 more in 2011, to show that you appreciated him. It was just a bad, bad move. Anyway, if you have any comments, please feel free, because I have no answers.